Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's just tweak the volume. And I think we should be ready to go. I'm going to go live a few seconds early. We don't make the rules. We simply break the rules. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. It's a Monday. It's a busy day. We've got all of the charty things to go through. We're going to look at Bitcoin dominance. Still expecting it to go up, by the way, so don't expect alt season anytime soon. We're going to look at some charts. It's a massive, massive week this week. It's the biggest week in the history of crypto, bar none. That's the big week. We also have news about ADA. We're going to talk about ZEC. I don't know what the hell this coin is called. But anyway, I'm here to tell you that it might be time to leave the party with your bags of gains. We're going to be talking about what else we got on the show today, as well as the charts. We're going to talk about silver and gold prices. China. We're going to talk about China. Okay, we're going to be talking about NFT to NFTs and what that means for Ripple and the XRPL blockchain. We're going to be talking about Link as well. A lot to talk about, and we've got X-Files, and of course we have what's on the screen now, which is here. Okay, this is the Halloween special, which is on Wednesday. Now, if you've never watched us for a Halloween special, we dress up. Okay, for Halloween. We dress up for Christmas sometimes, but we dress up for Halloween. There's many pictures of me dressed as a hatchet murderer covered in blood. There's me dressed as somebody out of Star Wars, the guy with the red face and the lightsabers. I don't know what he was called. We do this every Halloween. Now, this Halloween, we're going to be doing the same thing, but it's a quizzy special. We're going to be asking you some questions. I've got the questions. I've already written about half the quiz, and they're going to be Halloween themed questions. So we're going to ask you things like, what is the name of a dead blockchain? Is it a ghost chain, a zombie chain, or a mummy chain? Those are the kinds of questions you get with us. Where do you get that? You don't get it anywhere else. Only with us. That's Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. Now, there's a lot of people in chat, and I suppose it would be rude of me not to say hello to some of them. Kishan is here. He's talking about October. The GOAT is here. There's a person in chat whose name ends in 40. I can't say your name on the stream because you have a gaming name. We have Hidden. Good morning. We have KB is here. KB has an even bigger pot of caviar this morning. I imagine he's got it sprinkled in gold dust this morning. We have a few other people. China is indeed related to Trump. Yes. So There's a few other people on here. Anyway, we're going to get into it. That's on Wednesday. But today we have a lot to talk about when I boot up the charts. We're also streaming on Binance Square today. So one other thing to say about Binance Square, people, is I did the what's it called? The weekly giveaway on Binance Square. I did it yesterday, but the video was 630 megabytes, and the capacity on Binance Square is 600 megabytes. So I've re-exported it today, and I'm going to upload it. The 5 winners, I've already tagged 1 or 2 of them in chat. Queen 350, she definitely won. Well, I hope it's a she. I did assume her gender then. She won. Also, one other thing, on Binance Square is the Blockchain 100 thing, and we are in it. We're not in it to win it. We have no chance of winning it. The chances of... We have to change our name, okay? We'd have to become Chinese. We'd have to change our name, do all of those kind of things. But look at this. We're 15th. We're 15th. Vote for us, okay? We've got no chance. We've got people whose names I don't understand. That could mean cherry blossom. That could mean apple pie. I don't know. But we've got no chance of winning. But being 15th, that's going to go on my gravestone, okay? So don't miss out. Vote for us. We really have no chance of winning, but if we finish in the top 25, I will live off that glory for the next 4 whole years, okay? So KB, get your 16 other alt accounts and go and vote for us. Already voted, thank you. Hello, Alpha, I hope you are well. Do you know what? I'm going to have to change my monitor setup, because to see, I have to do this. Thank you, Kishan. Now then, Bitcoin is coming in at $115,000 and change. Ethereum is back over $4,150. BNB back over $1,100. Nice. XRP at $260. I'm okay with that as well. Solana tickling the undercarriage of $200. Also good to see. Cardano at 67.5 cents and Hype at 47. Chainlink down there at 18.50. Now, again, recency bias. I want to talk to you about recency bias. I always talk to you about recency bias. Everybody's very, very happy with these prices because they've gone green. But let's not forget that Cardano was over 80 cents a couple of weeks ago. Not even that. XRP was around $3. BNB was over $1,250. Ethereum was at 4.3, something like that. Bitcoin was a little bit higher at 118. So although this is nice, and we like this is good, but recency bias. You know, your bags are down 50% and you've got a 10% pump. You're still going to be down 42, 43%. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have gone green on October, but we are nowhere near the performance of previous months. But I think we're up 1.5% for the month of October. That's a good thing. We should cherish those things, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay? We're only there because we've had a 2.5-3% pump in the market. Now, gainers then, the life of Pi. I wish the life of Pi would die. Virtuals is up 145. That's had a really good run in the last few days. Zcash, I'm here to tell you that I think that story is coming to an end. We're already at 5.7 billion. $354. There are so many stories doing the rounds on why this token is this high. And I'm not going to tell you what any of those stories are, but I will tell you this. If you see a coin or a token do this, it's normally followed by a very big retracement. And we talk about tornadoes, and it's tornado season. In fact, there's a massive tornado right now as we speak in the Atlantic, which is a Category 5. It's T8. It's history in the making, all of those kind of things. If I told you that flying into that tornado is going to make you another 150% profit, would you go and do that? No, you wouldn't. I'm not here to tell you you're going to make 150% profit on Zcash, by the way. I'm here to tell you that I expect that to be below $300 in maybe not the next few days, but in the next week or so. We see this from time to time. Ton did this in the past. Sui's done this in the past. Don't chase those pumps. If you've held that coin from $200, congratulations. Take profits. What is so hard about taking profits these days? It's like a sin. Oh, you can't say that. You can't say. It's like the crypto's gone woke. Oh, you can't say take profits anymore. Why not? Take profits. If you've held it all this time and you're in big green numbers, go and take some profits. Dash is up. That'll probably be off the back of Zcash as well. What else is up here? Ethena, Bitcoin Cash. Wouldn't touch Bitcoin Cash with Kishans. Uniswap is up. There's a few good gainers today. Losers. Plasma is down. Still hold hope for Plasma. Don't think that's going to go anywhere. Asda again, or Asta, not Asda. That's a crappy supermarket in the UK. Asta is up, back over $1, but still down an awful lot. That's not a bad shout either. And again, some of these coins, I saw somebody on Saturday, and they were talking about how this cycle is a different cycle because people are looking at projects that make money. And I talked about this on Friday. I'm not going to go over that again. But what I like to see is people talking common sense now. And common sense is you buy projects that make money. I know, it's an unbelievable concept. A little bit like taking profits. Because taking profits out of a cult is something that can get you ostracized. You can't sell your Litecoin. You're part of the Litecoin army. Well, you can if it's going to pay off your mortgage or pay off your debt. Of course you can. Don't let anybody tell you can't take profits. And one of the things with Asta and Hype and Dupe and Aero and all of those types of projects, they all make money. And for me, I don't care about the price of them. They make money. What will happen over time, maybe, is they lose market share. But if they lose market share in an expanding market, they're going to make more money. Bitcoin used to be 80%, 95% of crypto. It's now struggling to stay too far above 60% because the market has expanded. Bitcoin is now at $2.2 trillion. When it was 90% of the market, it was only at 700 or 800 billion. So, yes, there will surely be what everybody is interested in. Anyway, gold is on its decline. It's either going to find support about $4,000 or just absolutely smash through the floor of $4,000. I don't know. I'm not a gold person. No interest in gold. Now, we are going to get through some X-Files, and one of these may be contentious to some of you because I'm going to say something else which might sound absolutely unbelievable. But we'll get to that in a second. Now, I hope you all feel a bit bullish today as well. I hope you all feel bullish. Tariq is in chat. Now, okay, I remember this rock being sold. Maybe KB, maybe Kishan, maybe the GOAT, maybe a few of you guys have been around since last cycle. This was sold 4 years ago, and this is a rock. Now, I wasn't streaming 4 years ago. We started in June 2022, so that's 3.5 years ago. So we missed this. Now, at the time, I genuinely thought people had lost their marbles. I thought people had gone mad. Okay? They bought rocks. Now, I will always defend Bored Ape. I will always defend those little pixelated characters, CryptoPunks, whatever they're called. I'll defend them because they are the OGs. They are the OGs. Now, the IP's been messed with and they've made mistakes. But when we start to see stuff like this cycle, okay, that's the top. That's the top. It's not Tom Lee doing quick math in his head and telling you that Ethereum is going to $165,000 next week. It's when people start buying pictures of rocks. That's the top signal. Now, maybe it's not rocks this cycle. Maybe somebody decides, I'm going to make a Peter Schiff collection and have pixelated pictures of gold. Maybe that is the next top signal. But when we start seeing stuff like that, it's the top. Now, this, Michael van der Popp, I'm starting to feel like he is getting itchy feet. And there's 2 tweets about him, but I think I've only included one. I've put the other one on Telegram. The markets had the heaviest liquidation ever on Binance, days before CZ gets pardoned, and weeks before Binance is operating in the US again. And then out of nowhere, altcoins are surging massively. Very happy there's no manipulation in these markets. Now, you can pair together any set of events that you want, and you can make it sound plausible. Of course you can. If we go back 1,000 years, okay, when the sun god spent a lot of time in the sky, we would get the harvest of our land. And when the sun god disappeared and it went cold because we had offended the sun god, we would have to hide in our huts and starve and maybe hunt wolves, okay? But then we'd sacrifice a goat to the sun god, and then the sun god would come back and our crops would grow, okay? You can put any kind of combination of crazy things in your head you want to together, put them together, and we see it in every way walk of life. Now, it's not necessarily a cause and effect. Things can happen independently of each other, okay? Donald Trump or CZ or liquidations or whatever they are, of course they can happen independent of each other. But when you pair them together to this extent, it just looks very suspicious. Do I believe that paying 150,000 BNB to help the growth of crypto in America, do I think there's any cause and effect with that and the pardon? Yes, I do. Of course I do. Absolutely. Do I think that CZ will become part of the crypto sphere of Donald Trump? Absolutely, of course I do. But I don't think all of those other things are connected. That's just my opinion. Now, strategy. In 21 days, so 20 days from now, 95% of all Bitcoin will have been mined. Of the remaining 5%, 4% will be mined in the next 10 years. Well, actually, no, 9 years. And then only 1% will be mined over the next 105 years. So when we talk about journeys and destinations, I think we're pretty much at our destination as far as Bitcoin mining is concerned and the emissions of Bitcoin. The next halving is going to make the halving cycle absolutely irrelevant. If that didn't already happen this cycle, okay, what is it, 3.125 a block now? I mean, what we're going to go to, 1.65, 1.575, something like that. We're at the point of irrelevancy. So, again, this looks like a political broadcast. This looks like something you'd see from the Conservatives or the Republicans, isn't it? Again, but I like the numbers. I think this is quite a hard-hitting advert, and I like it. Okay, we're at the end of mining Bitcoin. That's what you need to know, and that's a good thing. We don't want any more Bitcoin being mined. It's not like we can find an asteroid full of gold and then harpoon it and pull it down to land in Alaska. Now, Dan Crypto Trades. Why did I include this? Oh, yeah. Okay, the two targets. That's what I was going to include. This was before the pump yesterday, by the way. I did a lot of the stream, prepared a lot of the stream yesterday before we actually moved to the upside. And basically, Dan Crypto Trades, he's highlighted the two prices where there's going to be max pain, max liquidations. And what's interesting about these is I've got 113,000 and 108,000. So I sit within, and Bitcoin, sits within that range, because 113,000 is the top, and then 108,000 is where we've been coming down to. And we've kind of been going up and down on that kind of trampoline since the crash, really. So going to 115,000 is going to liquidate all of the people that think we don't go any higher than 113. And then, of course, on the downside, 106,000 liquidates all the people that have got the stop loss at 107.5, for example. But I thought that was quite interesting that we all know we're in a range. Now we've broken out of it. Are we going to hold it? Or are we just going to come straight back down again? Is this pump? Is this just the pre-rate cut pump? Are we going to have the rate cut and then all of a sudden the market comes back down again? I don't know. We are running out of days to have October, so I'm hoping it's not a dump to the downside. Now, again, this is a bit of an unusual one. This is the last one I'm going to include, and I think it's the one that I was wanting to talk about. And this is kind of like the motto. It's not actually. I haven't included it. I must have decided not to have included this tweet, which is a shame. Maybe I'll include it on tomorrow's stream. It's about free speech. But anyway, Richard Hart has deposited $61 million in ETH to Tornado Cash today. This week, he has transferred a total of $106 million worth of Ethereum to Tornado Cash, and he still holds $500 million in ETH. Now, this man who created, is it Pulse Chain? Something like that. He created and got people to lock up their money for the next 4 years, 6 years, 8 years. He called the top in 2021, as he keeps telling everybody. He called it to the day, all this kind of stuff. Now, anyone that tells you that Richard Hart should be, because he's under investigation, and I think the investigation has been dropped. If anybody tells you that he's a good actor, ask yourself why people are in so much, the losses are so big in the majority of coins that he's got. And then ask yourself how he's managed to get himself $1 billion. And then again, we talk about cause and effect. That $1 billion that he's got, where's that come from? Has it come from wealth generation, asset appreciation, or has it come from people putting in massive amounts of money to his system, which he is extracting and then leaving the system to lock you up for the next 4 or 5 years? So again, and I don't never include Richard Hart in the list of people that have done bad things in crypto. I never even think about Richard Hart, but he is one of the worst. And there are people out there, Hexians, I think they're called. We've been covering Hex since the start. In fact, one of our very, very first videos we did was about Hex sponsoring Barnsley FC. And at the time, I made a video saying this is absolutely terrible. What on earth are they doing? And what they were doing was they were trying to legitimize themselves. And sponsoring a football club gets me legitimacy. Fine. It lasted 3 weeks and they got kicked out because everybody called it a Ponzi scheme. He didn't call the top. He did call the top. He called the top on about 90 consecutive days and then deleted 89 tweets or 89 videos. It's just a common trick. He always states this, but price will higher after his call. Yes, exactly. Right. People were selling JPEGs of slices of bread. Exactly. That was an NFT, yes. So anyway, crazy times. Now, this is what's happening this week. And what you want to draw your eyes to this week is the Wednesday, October the 29th, the FOMC rate decision. Now, do I think the price of Bitcoin has priced in this rate cut? Yes. I think it's priced in a 0.25% rate cut. And guess what? I think we're going to get a 0.25% rate cut. Chairman Powell is the worst father in the world, okay? He gets you all excited for your birthday. BMX, PlayStation 5, Game Boy, Tamagotchi, whatever, and then you get to your birthday and you open it and it's a book, The Seven Sisters, okay, about oil. That's it. That's what you get, because that's going to be a good lesson for you in life, son. Go and read that book. You'll learn a lot from that book, okay? Did you get a birthday present? Yes. Did you like it? No. Are we going to get a rate cut? Yes. Are we going to like it? No. Okay? He is crap. Now, we don't want a Fed chairman who comes out and agrees with Trump and starts cutting it by 1.5% and 1% and 0.5%. Of course we don't. But Powell is pretty liable for what he's done. And there's times and times and times when the Fed should have cut 6 months earlier and they didn't. And they always do this. They always leave it too late. And historically, they've left it too late. And if you go off history and you go off what they're doing now, they lag the need for those rate cuts. We should have had rate cuts in June. Everybody agrees with me on that, apart from the people who disagree with me on the comments. We shouldn't have rate cuts. It'll put inflation up. No, it won't. Not in this moment, it won't. It will if we cut by 1.5% to 2% or over a period of a few months, and then we turn the money printer on. That will push inflation up. But this slowly eking of interest rates to the downside, how long is it going to take? Are we going to be sitting here this time next year at 3.25% saying we really need a rate cut, we really need a rate cut? You know, Donald Trump could knock down and rebuild the White House 3 times by the time Powell gets his way. And luckily, I think Powell's gone this year. So the big day is Wednesday. And of course, we are going to be streaming our Halloween special pretty much just before the rate cut decision. I think the rate cut decision is what, 2 p.m. It's about 9 p.m. So we'll be getting to the end of our stream if we've not finished it by the time this pumps. Again, Market Watch is just a little bit of fun. We're not going to look at liquidations. We don't care about liquidations today. We're not going to look at the DXY today. because that's not important at this moment in time. But we are going to look at this chart. And this is the Bitcoin dominance chart, which I've been showing you for most of this year, actually. I think we've watched this grow, and we've watched it grow. We've watched it grow, and we've watched it grow. And we called the bottom here. We said it's bottomed out, and now it's going to wick up. And now we are getting... There we go. We are just about getting to 60%. Just about. We did come up just above 60% on Thursday last week. Was it Thursday? Yeah. And we've come back down again. But we've held this line from the bottom, which was 13th of September. So we've held that line now for about 5 weeks, and we've been slowly making our way up. Now, clearly, this is just an indicator line. It's not meant to be the line that holds absolute fact. It's just the trend line, and the trend line is showing us coming back up. And I have said that we are going to get to this decision point here, and that decision point is kind of when the moving average meets the end of October, meets the bull market, meets Bitcoin dominance. Why is that important? Because on the 29th, we're going to get the rate cut. I believe Trump and Xi are going to be meeting very soon, or make an announcement on the 29th or 30th. So the end of this month is either take off or pack up. That's how crypto works these days. We've got to be extremists, haven't we? So I think we're going to probably have some level of movement in the next 5 days based on a combination of just things coming to a head. Now, I do think there is a good chance that this does get somewhere into this range. Maybe Bitcoin pumps at the end of this week and everything lags behind. Maybe Bitcoin does get back towards 60.2%, and then it starts to break down. But remember, as long as we are seeing this to the upside, your alt season isn't happening because it's Bitcoin that's outperforming everything else. And I asked a comment in Telegram today, and very simply put, are your bags near all-time highs? Is your crypto portfolio near an all-time high? Now, I did my own check. My portfolio is 10% off all-time highs. So my all-time high was set earlier this year, I'm sure, when everybody's was. But my portfolio is almost at all-time highs. So if we even have a 5 or 6% pump across the board, my bags are going to be at all-time highs. Now, if you're sitting there and you're down 40, 50, 60%, then either one of two things is going to happen. You've been preempting your altcoin season pump, which is absolutely fine, or you are buying coins which haven't been appreciating in value. So you're either buying expecting a massive pump, or you've been buying the coins which haven't been following the flow. So had you held BNB, you'd have had all-time highs this year. XRP all-time highs this year. Solana had a massive, great big run. Ethereum's had a massive, great big run, and Bitcoin's had a massive, great big run. So if you're not holding any of those coins, and you're holding coins 30 to 100, you probably haven't got anywhere near all-time highs this cycle. And that's something for the next cycle you're going to have to think about. At the start of this cycle, at the start of this year, I said you need to look at performance over speculation. And performance over speculation is you need to look at the projects that men in suits will want to buy, not degen, Doge, DEX coins, which are at $5 million and might not rip. You've got to be careful about what you choose. Now, maybe the alt season is going to be here in about 3 or 4 weeks' time. Maybe we are at the end of our journey, and maybe you are going to see a 5 to 10x on your portfolio in the next 6 or 8 weeks. And I hope we see that as well. I hope. But until we're in it, we don't know it's going to happen. That's a massive problem. Now, this is the total market cap of absolutely everything. We wicked up here, got to, what is it, about 4.25 trillion. My target that I set 2.5 years ago was for crypto to go to 6 to 10 trillion. And I set that target when we were back at probably 2 trillion, 1 trillion, something like that. I thought we'd go to 6 to 10 trillion, and we've got to 4.25 so far. So I am easily 50% off so far. Easily 50% off so far. Do I think we're going to run to 6 trillion in the next 3 weeks? Nope. So I'm going to be wrong. Are we going to hit 5 trillion? That's more likely. We're likely to get towards 5 trillion, maybe 5.5 trillion. But if we do get anywhere near 6 trillion, it's probably not going to be until maybe next year. Maybe the Bitcoin ETF cycle just keeps going and going and going and buying more and more Bitcoin, and slowly Bitcoin accumulates value until it gets to 3 or 4 trillion. Maybe. But my target was still 6 to 10 trillion. What we have done in a nice way is we have fallen back down towards the bull market support band, broken below it a couple of times, and now we are back up towards this trend line. So this trend line brings us up to 3.95. So another 3% away from getting back onto this line. And this was kind of a really nice pattern, and I know what KB was going to say, but I think we need to get back up there. Okay, we need to do this, that kind of movement. And again, recency bias might make you think that we are in a really bad place. Fine, that's what people think, I don't happen to think that we are in a really bad place, because Bitcoin, whether it's at 112 or 115,000, Bitcoin's in a really good, strong price place. Had we started to fall down below 100,000 towards 95,000, I would genuinely be slightly worried. But we haven't. And maybe we don't. And maybe all of those people saying that we're never going below 100,000 again, maybe they are right for now. But I think we're in a good place. I think a lot of the coins are in a good place. I'm going to keep saying this to you. We are in a marathon, and we are coming round the corner of the final lap, and you want to hold the coins that have a chance of winning their own respective race. And they are coins that have some chance of breaking up towards new either local all-time highs or full-on all-time highs. And those coins, so far this cycle, have been majoritively the ones in the top 10, top 15, top 20. And everything else that hasn't run yet still has a massive chance of running, but not everything you hold is going to all-time highs. ICP, Litecoin, the coins from the previous cycle that ran up. Crow, there's no way Crow's going to $1. 60 cents. But I would be happy with 60 cents. It's a 4x from here. It's a really good run. So be careful holding onto your bags. And as I was saying in Telegram before, taking profits seems to be a sin right now. It seems to be a sin to even mention taking profits. But why are you not taking profits at BNB prices, for example? I said $1,500 to $2,000. We got to $1,380. I don't think that was a million miles away. My target for XRP is $5 to $7. We've got to 370, something like that, 360. We could go that step further, but it will be so quick if it happens in similar patterns to before. It will be so quick. You have a matter of weeks to start taking profits. And you need to get into the mindset now of thinking about taking profits, because what's going to happen is you will FOMO and think we're just going to keep going into June next year. You're going to think this is just going to keep going. It's a cycle. The cycle peaks and it comes back down. Within a week or two of hitting all-time highs, we will be down 33%. Roughly. Maybe we're down 20% this time. So let's say we top out at $6,000, $6,500 for Ethereum this cycle. There's a good chance within 2 weeks or 3 weeks of hitting that price, we are back at $5,000. Because we go overbought. We get euphoria, and you need to sell into that euphoria. Euphoria is the last stop on the journey. It's not the beginning of the journey. We've been on the journey for 2.5 years. It's the end of the journey. It's the bit where the roller coaster pulls in and you go, oh my God, it's over. And the euphoria is all over you. What do you do on a roller coaster? I think I'll go on it again. No, you get off. And that's what you've got to do. You have to get off. You have to sell. Non-financial advice, of course. Do your own research. Whatever else I'm supposed to be saying on these things. Gold and silver cool off after record highs, but metal bulls say the shine hasn't gone yet. The top signal is clearly stupid Australians queuing around the corner buying blocks of gold at $4,000. That was obviously the top signal. And of course, we can wait 6, 12, 18, 24, 36 months for gold to go higher than those prices. That's not the point. The point was the top signal is seeing people queuing around the corner. There will be a small retracement. Gold isn't going to go back to $2,000. It might go back to $3,800, $3,900. Gold is not going to retrace massively, but it will retrace somewhat. And it's down. Now, the reason I've brought this up is because clearly if you've held gold, you should hold gold, by the way. And if you don't want to hold it physically, you should hold PAX-G, which is a tokenized version of gold. You should have some element of gold in your portfolio. I'm a little bit old school. I think you should own your house and have no mortgage. And if you say that nowadays on any of these podcasts, you are vilified, okay? But there is something fundamentally wrong with people that don't take into account human emotion and sleeping well at night, okay? I absolutely own the entirety of my house. I own in entirety my office and my storeroom and everything else. I own them, okay? Now, your argument will be you're losing money because all of that liquidity is locked up in property. You can leverage it. You can go and get loans. You can go and invest in other things. Absolutely fine to have that argument. But you know what? I sleep so soundly at night. If I go out there and get run over in an hour's time, my wife and son have a house that they can sell for a considerable amount of money, a considerable amount more than I paid for it. They can sell the office. They can sell the storeroom. They are set up for life. If you're one of these degens who's leveraged to the, I can't say the word, leveraged to the boobs, and you get hit by a bus, which is a terrible way of thinking of things, but you've got a family. As soon as you get a family, your risk profile has to change. You can't be a 20-year-old lad and have the same risk profile as a 30, 40-year-old guy with a family and kids. So your risk profile changes. You should hold gold. You should hold silver, yes. But you should also hold crypto because it's going to outpace inflation, especially Bitcoin. And inflation is what's going to kill you. My house has gone up more than inflation. My office has gone up more than inflation. My storeroom has gone up more than inflation. And my crypto has gone up more than inflation. And that is stage one. And the other argument I would have, if you are a 30 or a 40-year-old guy and you can pay off your house by the time you're 35, 40, there is absolutely no reason you can't use that mindset to go and make the same amount of money all over again. Okay? Because it's not about leveraging yourself. It's about being able to do the things you want to do and sticking at it and having conviction. That's the way you got to look at it. Now, US Treasury Bessent says substantial trade framework with China reached. Bessent said that negotiations alleviate the need for the tariffs. Again, something else we can look at here, which we don't need to. We've looked at it before. I'm sick and tired of telling people that the economies are not going to collapse. I'm sick and tired of telling people that Donald Trump is not rearranging the world order. I'm sick and tired of telling people that Trump is going to ruin America. It is not going to happen, okay? Just because he has knocked down a wing of the White House, okay, which, by the way, our good friend Obama did, and before him, multiple others did, doesn't make him a criminal for doing something which other presidents have done. Having a decent trade negotiation with your biggest trade partners is not a criminal offence. Okay? He's doing what is right for America. The same way the Brits, the Aussies, the Spanish, the Europeans, they should try and do the best for themselves. So this framework, by the way, we covered this in the summer. About 60% of this framework was agreed in London. And then I think they met in Paris. And then I think they met somewhere else. And then I think Trump's going to meet Xi in Budapest. I think something like that. So this takes so much time. But you are all focused on Trump. Trump is the head of the organization. But Bessent and all of his negotiators sit down with all of the negotiators with Xi. And then it kind of goes up. Do we agree to this? Do we agree to that? Yes, 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 yes. Right. They're all put to one side. Now we negotiate on these things. These are a bit trickier. And when Xi and Trump meet, they're not going to sit there and talk to each other and say, do you know, I really want your solar panels. Yeah. But I'm going to charge you 60%. No, make it 50. 55, 57.5 deal. No. They're going to sit there. They're going to shake hands. They're going to say, China is our biggest partner. We love the Chinese. We love Xi. We love the way they make iPhones. We love their solar panels. And Xi's going to say, we love America. They're our biggest customer. We love Donald Trump. He's great for America. And they're basically going to blow smoke up each other's backsides. And then might even have a symbolic signing of a piece of paper that's got nothing on it, right? That's what's going to happen. It's theatre. And the sooner you understand it's theatre, the better. It's always been theatre. Trump's not going to meet Xi if they don't agree on a trade deal. It's like going for an interview. You will never get an interview if the person doesn't think you can do the job. You get an interview because you can do the job and they need to make sure you're not an idiot. You're not going to rock up in a pink-haired nose ring, eye ring, tooth ring, talking about sewing flowers into the carpets and all that kind of nonsense to make sure you fit into the culture of the business. That's why you get an interview. You've already got the job. You just have to not mess it up in the interview. All of the people that turn up for jobs, they can all do the job. It's whether they like you or not. Trump isn't going to meet Xi without that deal being signed. No deal, this meeting gets called off. It's simple. And we are rallying based on this news. We could have told you this. They're never not going to have a deal. They're never not going to have a deal. It's always going to be a deal. So when you sit there thinking, could be all over, it could be. If Trump decides to go have conflict with China, then of course. But it's not in America's interests. It's not in Chinese interests. So they're just going to come to a deal. That's what he is. He is a deal maker. Cardano's quiet accumulation, whales on-chain signals, and what's coming. Again, we don't cover Cardano that much because simply there isn't a lot of Cardano news. There's a lot of big things happening on Cardano, and the biggest one I'm waiting for is, of course, the connectivity to Bitcoin. I want to see what that's going to look like. I want to see how you can process transactions on the Bitcoin network using ADA as gas. That's what I'm waiting for. That's, I think, the Hail Mary for Cardano. I still love the project. I still hold Cardano. It's done incredibly well. Don't forget, we were buying Cardano at 20 cents. We were buying XRP at 35, 40 cents. We were buying those coins when everyone was coming on here and saying, is XRP still a good deal at 35 cents? If I said to you today, Cardano's at 22 cents, get Cardano, it's going to have a really good run. You'd have had itchy feet for about a year, maybe a little bit longer. And then suddenly it broke $1. You had Cardano streamers crying. You had people crying on streams because Cardano had gone up that much. I remember a few that I'm not going to mention the names of, and they're literally like that. My life has changed forever. Cardano's changed my life. I'm going to get a Cardano tattoo on my forehead. It was always going to go up. It's just how high it goes that's the question. It's a good, solid chain. Now, what Cardano has to be very, very careful of is not becoming a zombie chain. And it has to build utility, and it has to have partnerships. And that's what it needs to focus on. That is exactly what we need to see from Cardano. I sold my gold to buy a new flat. See? Did you actually do that, Tariq? I tell you what, if Tariq sold his gold to buy a flat, Tariq gets OG of the week. Because he will have absolutely nailed the top, if that is true. Who we sacrificing? I don't know who we're sacrificing. I think we should sacrifice many, many people. Right, let's move on very quickly. So, whales suggest good things are coming. Now, again, I don't want to get into too much about this. What I will say is, we talked at the beginning about profit over speculation. I don't think I called it profit, but it's basically companies that make money over speculation. The things the things going for Cardano at the minute, and that's why it could have a run. Now, listen, Cardano isn't going to go to $20 in this bull run. $3 to $5 is my target. We're at 65 cents. It still has to 4.5x to get there. You look at XRP, that only has to 2x to get to my target. But Cardano's market cap is significantly lower, which means less money needs to come in to pump it. Now, Cardano's favour, you've got Charles. Charles and his connection to the White House. Charles is seen, as far as I'm aware, as a trusted source of information. Unlike Brad Garlinghouse, who has been seen as being somewhat of a Wormtongue. And if you don't know Lord of the Rings, Wormtongue is a character in Lord of the Rings. So Brad Garlinghouse was kind of ostracized for a while, basically taught a lesson. Charles is in the background. So Charles is in with the American government. There is talks about Hedera and Cardano being used within the government systems. Cardano is working. I've seen somebody today, they were flying to Brazil, I think it was, to start talking about bringing some of the Brazilian agriculture systems onto Cardano. Now, Cardano might not be sexy. We talked about this before with recycling. It's not sexy. Storerooms, not sexy. Make a lot of money. Cardano gets into agriculture. It gets into education. It gets into healthcare. It's becoming a valuable, valuable system. But it has to do it. It's okay sitting here and saying, when they do this, it's going to be great. Now, if Cardano can do that side, and it's already got a lot of pros going for it, and it does the Bitcoin sidechain thing, whatever you want to call that, then Cardano is going to have a lot of added value. Added value means an increase in the price of ADA. And that is what is in Cardano's favor. Now, the passive things in Cardano's favor are things like it's going to get its own ETF, it's going to be part of other ETFs. So Cardano is going to passively accumulate value through these ETFs. So lots of things going in its favor. What's not going in its favor? It needs to keep eyes on itself. It needs to keep itself looking valuable, and it needs to keep moving forward. And those three things are the things it struggled with over the last 2 years, up until Trump came in and there was a picture of Charles with Elon Musk talking about stuff. And Elon Musk is not an idiot. Elon Musk may be many, many things to many, many people, but he's not an idiot. And he, I would imagine, really gets on with Charles, because I think they're of a similar ilk in terms of discussing potential. And I think they get on more than, say, Brad Garlinghouse with Elon Musk. I don't think Elon Musk trusts Brad as much as I think Elon Musk. If there was two doors with Brad behind one and Charles behind another, I think Elon Musk would choose Charles. Trump, the same thing. Trust Charles, trust Brad. I think he would pick Charles. So he's got a lot of things in his favor, but he needs to leverage that for the sake of the chain. And again, I'm going to be holding Cardano to the end of this bull run. I think it's still going to do well. And again, I'm always going to tell you if I'm holding a coin or not, because I think that's also important. I think there's transparency. I saw one of the biggest, I don't know, I can't say, I have to self-censor myself. If I ever went live on Rumble, for example, your hair would turn grey, okay? Because some of the things that I want to say that I can't say are a little, not extreme, I'm not an extremist, but they are a little bit far from what I am allowed to say, especially when it comes to blockchain and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything slanderous. It's not that kind of comments that I want to make. But I have to self-censor, because I have to honour the fact that, you know, I am streaming in certain places. You know, I know YouTube is a lot easier to stream on nowadays because the censorship things have been removed, but I have to be careful. Now, XRP Ledger Validator sees NFT to NFC trading potential in proposed batch amendment. This is one of those ones that's a slow burner in the background that we talked about before. About maybe even a year ago, the XRP Ledger added smart contracts. They've been talking to Cardano. This is what leads on from the Cardano article. The XRP Ledger, the next thing it needs to do for me is DeFi. Okay? Now, NFT is non-fungible token. It doesn't mean a stupid picture of a rock. It can mean anything. An NFT in DeFi, which is where I'm going with this, when you get an LP position, say on Orca or on Camino or any of the other Solana chains, a lot of the time they will give you an NFT that represents that position on that DeFi platform. So what's important about this for me is, if I've got 10,000 XRP, I transfer that from Binance over to the XRP ledger, and then I'm allowed to put that into, say, an XRP RUSD pair, which pays 25%. I put it in there, and it's single-sidedly locked, which means my 10,000 ADA XRP goes in, but it doesn't get split 5,000 XRP, 5,000 RUSD. It stays in XRP. They will give you an NFT, probably, that you hold in your wallet that represents that position. And when you cash out of that position, your NFT is burned. So don't think about shiny rocks when you think about stuff like this. Think about the potential for how XRPL can be used as a DeFi platform. Think about it. They have a stable coin. They have their XRP coin. They have the banking system protocol. They have cross-border payment systems. They've got it all. What they don't have is a DeFi ecosystem. And I don't mean an ecosystem necessarily for us. I'm talking about institution DeFi. That's where I'm thinking they're going to go. Now, they are partnered up with Cardano. They are partnered up with Solana. They are partnered up with Ethereum. And to be honest, they're the only three chains I would really go anywhere near at the minute, because they're all kind of like a little clique at the minute. Solana a little bit on the outside, but certainly Ethereum, certainly XRP, certainly Cardano, they are the favorable ones with the administration. So again, and BSC now, of course, with CZ. BSC, expect BSC to have a seat at this table in the near future. But this is a positive thing for XRP, and it's not something which necessarily will result in gains today. But when this thing goes live and they have liquidity pools and they have all of those things in the background, it will just add a little bit more value to XRP. And that's what's important. You have to add value to what you're offering. What's the point? You have to add value to the customer, and you have to sustain yourself as a business. I've been saying that now for a couple of weeks because I want people to understand that's how businesses need to work. You have to make a profit, and you have to offer value, whether it be service or product. It has to add value. Now then, Chainlink eyes 300% upside as road to $46 forms, says analysis. Now, for once, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're unrealistic targets for some of these projects, because for me, Chainlink, so far this cycle, has been one of the biggest bullish performing coins. When we look at who the administration in America has been invited to sit down at the table, you've always seen XRP. You've always seen, what's his face? XRP, Cardano, other people like that. You've always seen them. But you've also seen Chainlink. You've also seen Sergey there, or one of Sergey's team has been there. And that's because this is the mesh that makes everything work. This is the spider's web that connects everything together. So do I think we can see a $46 Chainlink? Of course we can. We've got to break $25 first, but certainly. Now, end of the bull run, because I'm going to try and keep this. I'm going to try and give more price targets over the next few weeks. And rather than trying to sit on the fence, I'm going to give you the targets. I'm going to tell you a little bit. I'm going to go back to what I was saying about other influencers in a minute that I was going to start talking about and stopped. I'm going to do that at the end. So Chainlink, I think I'm still sticking with $60 to $100 per Chainlink. I think I've said $60 to $100 for Chainlink. $60 is, I think, a really fair price to us to get somewhere near. I think $100 is an absolute blow off top. Solana, I've said the same thing. $600, $1,000 is the extreme price it's going to get anywhere near. But I think $600 is achievable. But we need to be in it to see it. That's the thing. And maybe we don't get in it. We need to see. Now, I think $15 was a good price to pick this up at. People keep asking me about hype. I think $44 $40 to $44. Around that price is a good price to buy hype. But you buy it on the proviso that you know it is not going to $200. It will be lucky to get to $90, $80 this cycle, maybe $100. But you're at the end. You've walked into the nightclub at 1:55 a.m. in the morning. It closes in 10 minutes. And you are looking around to see what sexy girls or what hunky guys are left in that nightclub. And I tell you what, at 1 to 2 in the morning, there's not a lot left, okay? You can't come to crypto in October 2025 and expect 100x gains when the cycle is supposed to end next month or the month after. It's not how it's done. You needed to be with Tariq buying Litecoin at $40. You needed to be with the people buying Cardano and XRP at 30 cents. So control your expectations. We are going to see maybe $50, $60 Chainlink. You get it at $15, you 4x your money, potentially 4x your money in 2 or 3 months. That's it. Don't buy it thinking it's going to go to $200 because the market cap cannot sustain these coins going that high. Either I am going to be very, very wrong, or you're going to be very, very disappointed if you think some of these coins you're buying are just going to go through the roof. It's back to what we were saying last cycle. People were buying SHIB thinking it was going to go to $1 because idiots on the internet were telling you that it could go to $1 or even a cent, which was a 10,000x, which would have given it a $38 trillion market cap. Ground yourself in reality and take profits. I don't ask for much. I'm getting very irate today. I don't know why. Very irate. Now then, this is the last thing I want to talk about today. And again, I'm going to stick with my giving sensible, what I think are sensible price targets for some of these coins. And again, I might be wrong. I could be completely wrong. It's my opinion. That's what I'm giving you, my opinion. I've left this till last as well. Okay. I should put on one of those voices, you know they have at the cinema. From the team that brought you Jurassic Park, an alien comes. Okay. From the guy that brought you the buy at the top, sell at the bottom, buy again at the top, Ethereum price, Arthur Hayes brings you a $10,000 ZZEC target. Maybe I should stick to my day job. Can Zcash price hold the hype? Nope. I don't think so. And I'm probably going to be absolutely right on this one or absolutely wrong. Arthur Hayes, $10,000 Zcash target reignited, 750% rally in 3 months, pushing it over $330. He explained the FOMO. Analysts highlight catalysts in Grayscale Trust, an up-and-coming halving and strong technical setups, while skeptics warn of exit liquidity traps. Now, I don't want to talk too much about this. What time is it, by the way? Have I overrun yet? Oh, I've got... Look at that. Got 4 minutes left. Any coin that runs like this, any coin that runs like that is going to have a correction. This is not a coin that is... it's not like Hype or Aster that have literally started and then found their cap, which is what we've seen with both of those coins. This has been around, for, as far as I'm aware, for a very long time. Now, there are some rumours about this, and I've said at the beginning, I'm not going to tell you why. I would be very surprised if this goes above $400, and I would not be surprised to see it back at $250, $260 next week. When you see coins move like this, and you're in them, you sell. When you see coins move like this and you're not in them, you should sit on your hands. And if you don't want to sit on your hands, I will sit on your hands, and not in that way, okay? I will reach through this camera, okay, and twist your nose. Stop buying the tops. Look at all of the stupid Australians walking in a queue round the corner, going to buy gold. Why are you buying gold? It's going up. What's the price of it? I don't know. I just want to buy gold. And then what happens? It's come down. 5-10%, whatever it has, come down. It might come down a little bit further. But, you know, if they hold it for the next 20 years, I actually don't mind them buying gold because I don't think it's a worthless asset. It will go up in value over time. My gold, I think I bought for £11 a gram. No idea what the price of gold is now in grams. Maybe somebody can tell me. But I was buying it for about 10 or 11 pounds. 10 or 11 pounds. What's that about? About $14 a gram I was buying gold for. And then I stopped because we had some kind of market crash and the price went through the roof. You don't buy stuff like this at this price. You buy it at 180 or 150 or $100 and you sell now. So when you see people giving you outrageous targets, you sell. You don't buy any more. You sell. Okay? And that, for me, is the important thing. That you take your profits. Arthur Hayes, I don't know if you remember, Arthur Hayes sold his Ethereum just before it went on a run, and then he bought the top, and then it came back down to below the price he bought at. I was talking about this, and I was saying, hold your conviction. Hold your conviction. So, and I'm not having a go at him. The man is incredibly rich. The man is incredibly intelligent. But when you are a public figure like him, he's going to make mistakes in public, and then I'm going to get great delight in calling him the man that bought the top and sold the bottom, because that's what he did, and he did it in public. And he was very, you know, the issue is people believe a lot of what they see on the internet, and a lot of the time it's hyperbole. A lot of the time it's extreme opinions. And that's the issue that I've got. Now, the one thing I was going to tell you about this was one of these guys that I'm not going to name the names of, one of these streamers that I watch in the morning because he streams the night before, he held all of these positions in altcoins. Some of them were good, some of them were bad, whatever else it might be. And they were all down 50, 70%. And what he did was, he went on camera, because clearly he doesn't want to say he's cocked up. He went on camera and he said, right, what we're going to do is we're going to consolidate, because I think ETH's going to outperform everything in the next 2 months. So I'm consolidating. Here's my portfolio. And he sold Plasma, he sold Hype, he sold whatever else he had, about 10 coins. He sold them all for Ethereum. At no point did he say that he was telling everybody to go and buy all of these coins at the top. And now, because he's down 60%, he's not saying, listen, I've really cocked up. I really messed up. Hold my hands up. No, he went, we now need to consolidate. This is the time to consolidate. So what are you consolidating? Because my $100 worth of Hype is now $60. My $100 worth of Plasma is now £50. I'm not really consolidating. What you're doing, are you cutting your losses? Because if the cycle goes how it should go, then Ethereum should be next. But Ethereum should have been next before you bought those coins. Because it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe the tops, and then these altcoins. So he sold out of them all. And at no point did he say, oh, you know, I'm down 60%, down 50%. He just went, oh, I'm going to consolidate. And I thought, but you've led all of these people into these coins, and then when they need you, you've just cut them all away and bought Ethereum. And you should have told them to buy Ethereum. Because people watching this guy, and this guy's got hundreds of thousands of followers, they watch him and they go, right, I've got $1,000. I'm going to buy $100 of all of those coins he's suggested. Okay? But he didn't suggest Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP or Solana or BNB or anything in the top 10. There wasn't a single coin in the top 10 that he suggested in that portfolio. So if you're down 40 to 60% right now on your portfolio, you have too many low-lying alts in your portfolio. And when I mean down, I don't mean down in 2025. I mean down since the start. So when you bought them, because everybody's down because we're not at all-time highs. The question is, we're not in a bad situation with crypto. We are at really good prices. But everybody's so depressed because they all hold these coins that are down 75%. The thing is, that feeling you've got now, when it does go 200, 300, 500% up, just sell it, take your profit. And you've got people, I just want it to go back to the price it was at. I just want it to go back to the price it was at so I can get out. So you buy something for $1 that's now 40 cents, and you're going to sell it at $1.05 on the way up. So you've made 5% and loaded yourself with all that stress, because it's then going to go on to probably $2 or $2.50. And you've got to get in at the right price. You've got to get out at the right price. And you've got to listen to people, but make your own decisions. It's that simple. And I get it. You come to crypto, you don't have your own decisions. Watch people. Listen to people. Do they make sense in your head? Can you rationalize in your head what they're saying to make sense? Because a lot of the time, you see these people telling you that Ethereum's going to go to $50,000, $20,000. Does that make sense in your head to do that right now? Because I will argue 5 reasons why it won't. If you can rationalize $20,000 Ethereum in your head, you buy Ethereum and hold it for $20,000 because that's your financial decision. I will be selling my Ethereum at $7,000, $6,000, $8,000 if we get there. That's where I'm selling. And if you're right and I'm wrong, absolutely, congratulations. But I don't see it, in my opinion. Anyway, they never want to admit failure. That's why it's entertaining. You know what I should do? I should have just bought 10 coins that I knew was going to zero. And then I should have put it up as a portfolio. There was a guy, what was it? He was calling out. So I don't know. I think it was Murad or something. Murad is down like 90% on his portfolio. And some guy called him out and said, this is why you don't buy based on whatever it was, meme coin culture. And then somebody in his chat underneath went back a year or a year and a half and quoted a list of coins that this guy had bought for his portfolio and said, your take has also been utterly crap. And he was buying, I don't know what he was buying actually, I can't remember, but most of his coins were also down. And the thing is, you're just throwing mud at each other. Your take was bad. Your take was bad. I've made hundreds of bad takes. I'm sure I have. If I went back through annals of time, I've made some bad takes. I said Bonk was awful. I said Pepe was awful. I said they were rubbish. I said they had no fundamentals. And they did 15,000% each. And I said don't touch them with a barge pole because there's no business case behind them. So when I've been wrong, I've been dramatically wrong. Pepe's now, what, a top 20 coin. Bonk is worth billions. I called Bonk out when it was worth a few million. So I've made loads of mistakes. Of course I have. But at the end of the day, you want to have a clear conscience. If I can talk about big projects. Another one that we haven't got time to talk about is Compute 3 AI. So I'm not going to talk about it today because I don't want to fill the chat. It's manipulation. It's CZ. The whales are selling anything to back their story. Exactly. Right. Now, what I will say, I'm going to say one last thing. And I'm going to say this about this project. Now, full disclosure. I have zero commercial interest, connection, or anything with this company. Now, I want to make that very, very clear. And the reason I'm bringing it up right at the very end is because somebody asked me about it in a comment. I think it was Pakasad asked me about it. So I want to bring this up for one last second, and then you want to go now. But I want to talk about this company. Right. So I made a video about this company 3 months ago. They started on pump.fun. Okay. So when you sit there and you think, oh, well, it's just full of scam meme coins. It's not. It is actually used by real companies at some point. Now, I'm not showing you this because I'm going to talk about the company, but 2 things. Number 1, these guys are going to come on in the trenches. So the Oracle is going to interview them, number 1. But number 2 is this. And if you've not heard about this, you need to go and research it. And this is called X402. Now, I made a very, very small tweet about this last night. There. Okay. X402 payments. Now, if you don't know what they are, it is a protocol that's been created by another exchange, which you can't talk about. And it basically allows APIs, AI agents to connect to each other, and the 402 HTTP protocol is for payments, and it allows AI agents to talk to each other. What does that mean? It means that your AI agent could pay people, send money to other people, transact on your behalf. And it's the next and maybe one of the final steps for AI bots and agents to actually be really good at something, right? So you imagine you run a channel and you get, I think of something as simple as this. You run a channel and you put an AI agent in charge of your X account. And you say, right, pick 5 people at random and send them $5 tomorrow if they guess the correct score of Barcelona versus Real Madrid. And then you load the AI agent with your funds and you let it go. And then tomorrow you get a tweet. Hey, Crypto Warehouse AI here. Congratulations to Tariq and KB and Kishan and Go, whatever, you've all won. And your funds have been sent to you, right? I know it's a simple example. I know it's open to abuse. I'm not talking about those things. I'm just giving you an example of how it could work. If you want to do trading, you could say to your AI bot, right, I want to buy any dip where Hyperliquid goes below $40 and I want to buy it through Jupiter, for example. Your AI agent would be allowed to do that. It'd be able to send payments. It might even be allowed to pay your electricity bill. It doesn't matter. Okay, it's just an example. Now, this is a big thing, and it's a really big thing, and it's becoming a hot thing. And even the Martini guy was talking about something similar, and I commented underneath his post, and I went, right, you need to go and look at these guys. These guys are doing what you're talking about. He thanked me for it. He's gone to look at them. Now, he's got 700,000 followers, and these guys are tiny, but they've built something absolutely the way it should be built, which is a decentralized AI GPU kind of what's it called, rental scheme. It's like Netflix for GPUs. Okay, they're not big, but I think they're going to have their moment, and I really like the project. But again, as I said, we have no commercial arrangement with them. We don't, we're not an ambassador. We're not partnered with them. But I just love this project because it's a little bit like the underdog. They're the underdog. And I like backing an underdog. Being British, you always back the underdog. And I'm behind them. So we're going to get them on in the trenches. We're going to talk to them. And then X402 has come along and they have slightly blown up since then. So Packer, if you watch to the end, make sure to check this bit out and keep an eye out for the interview that we're going to be doing probably next week. So the interview this week is going to be a different company, different project. Next week, we're going to do Compute 3 AI. And that is it for the stream. I've talked too much. Thank you all. It's 12:10. Have a lovely Monday. I am back in the morning. The Oracle is either doing the interview and streaming tonight or doing the interview tonight. I don't know which. But he will be back. You are all absolutely fantastic. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. I will see you all in the morning.